Hello, my name is Danny Duchamp. Welcome to my shitty Honda Fit, located somewhere in the middle of nowhere, also known as New Zealand. Now, living in the middle of nowhere, I often don't get the chance to respond to someone from within the same borders as I am, so I was excited to see a request from YouTube user Ian is Bald to respond to a feminist MP in New Zealand called Dr. Jackie Blue. Now, MP is, for those Americans, a member of parliament. And the speech that I'm about to respond to was given at the UN. So keep in mind as we struggle through this thing that this is from a fairly high-ranking official in New Zealand. God help me. Now, I say that it's her speech, but actually I couldn't find a video of her giving it, although apparently she did. So what I've done is I've just read it out and sped up the audio so it sounds different from me. Now, this speech was such a fucking disaster that it's actually a little bit hard to listen to. So, I'm just going to take the edge off by accompanying her with a little bit of blues guitar, okay?
Dr. Jackie Blue, HeForShe speech, November 27th, 2015.
HeForShe. That feminist organization started up by an Emma Watson speech at the UN. The one that seeks to smash gender roles by getting men to stand up for women. That one, right. Yeah, this should be fucking good.
I was recently asked to sum up in 100 words, why should I care about equality?
Okay, I'll stop you already. What kind of equality do you mean? And what kind of equality would even be worth caring about? Even if we narrow it down to just equality between genders, then do we mean equality under the law? Equality of opportunity? Equality of outcome? Because they are all mutually exclusive. If you accept that there are any differences at all between men and women, then providing them equal opportunities is going to result in different outcomes. I mean, if you provide the same opportunities to any two people who are in any way different, those differences will ensure that they do not end up in the same place. Also, if we accept that people have different starting conditions, then structuring the laws so that these starting conditions don't count towards their opportunities requires that we don't apply those laws equally to everyone. I mean, apply laws equally to everyone with different starting conditions and they will not have the same opportunities. So, given that these three types of equality of legal rights, equality of opportunity, and equality of outcome, given that they're all mutually incompatible, which one, if any, is worth caring about? Think about that while we go on.
I came up with, an equal society is happier, healthier, and more productive.
I hate to stop you again so soon, Jackie, but I'm not sure you really want to say that. Why? Well, I don't know what kind of equality you mean still, but whichever one it is, I'm pretty sure it'll be one that you think feminism has been fighting to achieve this whole time. And well, you know feminism's target demographic? Women? Yeah, they've been getting progressively less happy as feminism has been getting progressively more influential. So if you're going to defend feminism and its latest creation, HeForShe, I would probably consider scratching that first one, happiness, from your list of benefits that equality apparently brings. And actually, now that I'm at it, scrap the other two, health and productivity as well, because, well, Japan. Well, Japan is widely considered to have some of the worst gender equality in the world, and yet in terms of productivity, they're ahead of many more supposedly equal societies, including New Zealand, and they're number fucking one in terms of health. I mean, health is a vague concept, but I think life expectancy is a pretty good measure. Speaking of vague concepts, are you at some point going to better define that equality thing for us?
An equal society means that everyone's rights are respected, and there is gender equality.
I'll be charitable and forgive you for essentially saying an equal society is one with equality, but I will not overlook the fact that you said everyone's rights are respected in tandem with there is gender equality. Now, I don't know whether by that last gender equality you meant equality of outcome or opportunity, but as we have established, neither of them can exist in the same system as equality of rights. Your sentence was horribly ambiguous, and yet somehow both of the readings are wrong.
Gender equality is about accepting that at birth, half of us are intrinsically discriminated and treated differently based on sex.
And yet again, I have to stop you after a single sentence. Okay, how can only half of us be treated differently? Okay. I have 2 beers here. Of these 2 beers, this one is different. Whereas this one is the same. The same as what, Jackie? Different from what? Okay, calm. All right. Now, I've said before that when feminists say equality of women, it's kind of an odd phrase. You can have equality between 2 things, but you can't have equality just of one thing. It's kind of like asking, what's the difference between a duck? And Jackie, you essentially answered that with, oh, one of its legs is both the same.
To become world leaders in gender equality, we must challenge stereotypes and sexism, encourage equal opportunities for all, and end our nation's tragic domestic violence tradition.
It's tradition, is it, Jackie? You may now kiss the bride, and also smack her across the fucking head with a beer bottle. As is tradition. Also, how is domestic violence a gender equality issue? I would have assumed that the goal was to try to stop all the domestic violence, not try to make it equal. But, okay. Unless you think that stopping domestic violence against a specific gender is more important, but that would kind of fly in the face of the we must challenge sexism thing you said, wouldn't it? The one good part of that sentence was that you said we should encourage equal opportunities. So we can assume from this point on that you're talking about equality of opportunity when you say equality. So thank fuck for that. Now, can you please try to get through one sentence without saying something functionally retarded? My audience only has so much attention span and I only have so much coping mechanism.
To achieve a more equal society, we must stand together, shoulder to shoulder, and leave no one behind. For me, the important phrases here are, we must all stand together and leave no one behind.
Oh, you got through 2 sentences there, but I kind of feel like you cheated because you just repeated the same 2 hollow platitudes twice in a row. We must all stand together indeed. Leave no one behind. You forgot to say it's meant to be, and after the storm the sun will shine. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's not rocket science.
Emma Watson acknowledged in her UN speech at the HeForShe campaign that we have only seen small progress in gender equality. She said that for too long, feminism has become a polarizing word, where fighting for women's rights has often become synonymous with man-hating, and feminists have been seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and unattractive.
No, I don't think feminists hate men, just their rights, and people who advocate for them. And especially those who describe themselves honestly while doing that.
Involving men and boys is about truly standing shoulder to shoulder, side by side.
Stop with the platitudes! Seriously, I'm not sure how much more I can handle!
Equality should not be a fight women have to lead on their own. To address the current inequality, we must involve the other half of the equation, men and boys.
Oh, so you're going to be a feminist and a masculist? No. Oh, well, you're going to be a women's rights advocate and a men's rights advocate. Big no on that one.
We need to aim to have a society where it is the norm for men to equally contribute to parental care, family responsibilities, and unpaid work.
It has become a tired cliche in the men's rights video response thing to point out that there are no rights that men have that women don't, and yet there are plenty the other way around. Men don't have the right to protection from rape. The definition of rape in many countries, including New Zealand, does not include a female having non-consensual sex with a male. Men don't have the right to bodily integrity. It is illegal, as it should be in most Western countries, to mutilate the genitals of a child, if that child is a female, but not if that child is a male. Men don't have the right to fair sentencing. Men get far harsher penalties for the same crimes. Men don't have the right to see their own children. Just Google the father's rights movement if you want to hear more about that, but I suggest you have a stiff drink handy. Alright, well, suffice it to say that men aren't treated fairly in custody battles. But this has all been said before. But in your last comment, Jackie, you explained precisely why. Humans, for obvious reasons, are far more willing to take action to protect the women than to protect the men. It's why we've gotten women every single right that they were lacking, and yet done little to nothing for men's rights. It's also why the changes that did happen somewhat in favour of men are, for example, no longer being expected necessarily to be the only breadwinner for a household, had to be rendered as some kind of women's rights issue. So it had to be implied that a woman being provided for entirely by a man was somehow oppression of that woman. And it's also, Jackie, why men should be expected to contribute to parental care, was what you said, and not men should be able to see their fucking children. Well, that's bullshit. We should equalise custody battles and parental care for men's sake. Because all that disparity under the law, taking a look at that, pretending that we're not advocating for men's rights is clearly not fucking working.
The White Ribbon Campaign is a great example of the importance of men's participation. This campaign is about men making a stand against violence. Each year, the White Ribbon Campaign gets a greater profile.
Why the hell should stopping violence be a gendered issue? Obviously, I can't hear your answer, Jackie. But whatever it was, did it perhaps help to demonstrate my point about which gender people are more willing to protect?
Business leaders, particularly male business leaders, also have an important role to play. With men dominating our publicly listed boards at 86% and senior management teams at 80%, we need every one of them to back women in their business.
What, and create more gender discrimination? Oh, it's not discrimination against men, it's just correcting for discrimination that already exists against women. Yeah, okay, it's counteracting discrimination with more discrimination. Good luck with that. That's definitely not going to just result in more discrimination, as it inevitably will.
There are many business initiatives that work towards this. The Women's Empowerment Principles ask that CEOs pledge their support for gender equality in their business. The YWCA Equal Pay Awards focuses on business to reduce the pay-gender gap. And just last week, Global Women launched Champions for Change, where business leaders pledge support for gender equality and diversity.
Here's a little thought experiment thought up by my good friend / wife, Bones the Rabbit. So you've got two businesses. One discriminates against women, and one just hires based on merit. You put in place some government initiative, and in response, the second business starts discriminating against men. This results in gender parity in the workforce. Job done, right? Except you have done nothing but double the amount of discrimination in the workforce. The raw numbers that you were citing tell you nothing about how much discrimination exists. Or, as my other good friend / favourite stalker, Choleric Shy Guy puts it, parity does not equal gender equality.
New Zealand needs to be much more ambitious, aiming to be the first country in the world where there is a zero gender pay gap, where women are worth 100%, where women have equal opportunities.
So you specifically specified that you're talking about equality of opportunity. And yet, in such a society, you expect women and men to make exactly the same amount. Not a cent more, not a cent less, on average. The only option left is for you to believe that there are absolutely no differences between men and women. Well, proceeding on that basis, let me ask you, if I were to inject you with a syringe full of testosterone or estrogen, would that change your behaviour? The answer I will charitably assume you gave is yes. Now, do men and women naturally have different amounts of these hormones in their bodies? Yes. So how in the name of fuck do you expect there to be absolutely zero behavioural differences between men and women? And therefore, how the fuck do you expect there to be zero differences in the outcomes for these people given equal opportunities?
And violence in all its forms is a minor occurrence. That's actually what it says.
I'll assume you meant is a rare occurrence, and yeah, sounds good. Not a gender issue, though.
We can't achieve this by ourselves. We need to engage the other half of the population. We need to stand together, united, shoulder to shoulder, and ensure nobody is left behind.
Jackie, what did I tell you about those platitudes? And if you want to involve the other half of the population that haven't previously been involved, how about you stand up for their rights? Yeah, of course, the gender imbalance in the world is that not enough men are coming to save women. It's a novel fucking idea.
The HeForShe campaign assists us in doing exactly that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Fuck you. Get out of my luxurious Honda Fit.